Welcome, folks, to this episode of The Shoney Show, and I am finally back on home soil in the UK, dealing with a temperature in which a pasty Scottish boy can deal with. And today, we're actually going to talk about something that's come up a couple of times in the weekly lives that I do with the 16-week digital marketing program members, because I realised how big of a deal it can be. Completely against the grain of what you might hear out there just in the top of the line conversation around digital products. It's a really big buzzword right now, not really just because it's a buzzword, but because digital products are actually excellent. So you'll find that most businesses, solo entrepreneurs who are delivering some sort of a service out there are now looking at how can they take their expertise or their service or their product and turn it into a digital product that they can sell online. The thought process behind it, quite obviously, the margins on it are excellent. So digital products, you are typically looking at, let's say, 97% margin or something. You might have some apps involved. You might have some memberships that you need. You might have a little bit of collateral that you need, but you do not need loads and loads of overheads to have digital products, your payment processing, that those types of things. So there's a little bit of money taken, but for the most part, it's very, very high margin. Unlike if you were, let's say, a personal trainer and you were delivering it in your own facility. In that case, then you've got the price of the facility rent, you've got the price of renting the equipment, you've got the price of traveling to the gym every day, you've got the price of all these different things. So with digital products, it leaves a lot of margin there to use for marketing. Now, the thing that people love to do with their digital products is to push them worldwide. And you can totally see why. If we give Facebook more people to aim at, we can typically acquire a customer at a lower cost. And in the customer journey towards selling your digital product, depending on what marketplace you're in, depending on the price point, for the most part, you're typically going to have some sort of a conversation started long before the actual purchase takes place. So this will usually mean that somebody is engaging with your content, following one of your profiles, joining your email list, watching one of your lead magnets, something along the lines of that, to build know, like, and trust before they even consider buying your digital product. In this case, what we really want to be doing is looking not only at the price per lead, but we want to be looking at the longer term value of each customer. Now, there's two reasons for this, and one of them wraps round into the sort of point of this podcast about using local targeting where you can target anybody worldwide. The first thing is not only looking at the price per lead, because you're obviously putting them into some sort of a system or a funnel that down the line is going to turn them into a buyer. Now, if we target certain places in the world, we can get super, super, super cheap leads. Now, I started running lead magnet stuff for the program, for example, and South America is so cheap to get people onto the email list. But the South American leads didn't convert as well as the UK, Australian, and the American leads. So even though the UK, Australian, and American leads cost about 3 times as much as a South American lead, the other ones actually turned into sales at the end. So when we're actually scaling this out and we're saying, right, we've got a digital product, we can sell this to anybody, what we're really looking at first and foremost is working out how much it actually costs to acquire a customer, not just a lead. So that's the first thing to focus on. But the point of this podcast was, why would we use local targeting, like towns, cities? Why would we be so specific about it? And the big reason here is because when you are running a digital business, something that really helps the digital business, and especially if you're in like the expert space, you're providing a service, if it's coaching, that type of stuff, is having an opportunity to actually get to know people who are in your warm audiences. It's also easier to sell to people once they've had that one-to-one real life interaction with you. If you've ever seen the difference between having a Skype call and having a phone call, you'll typically find that having a Skype call with the prospect is going to convert them better. As long as you don't get too nervous on a Skype call and it shakes things up on your side, then having that better interaction has a higher conversion rate. Now, it's the same thing when we look at if we can actually get in a room with people and sell to them there. So we can engage with them, we can speak to them face to face, we can get to know them, we can hear their name come out of their mouth, and it's so much easier to actually sell to people in that position. So when we're in the digital product space, something that we can do to help sell our digital products is, and this is two things that really wrap into one here, is positioning and actually having more opportunities to sell in bulk. And something that works really well is meetups, seminars, workshops, or even taking somebody for a coffee. Now, when I target people who are Glasgow plus 50 miles, it's a lot more to even acquire a lead or get in front of a new prospect with that targeting than it is to target people who are 200, 300, 400 miles away in England. So even though they're in the UK, even though that makes things a lot easier for them to come to one of my seminars, for example, I have I have a yearly annual seminar that I put on in Glasgow, for example, and most of them were traveling crowd, but that was actually something that kind of sparked the idea here. So I started running a lot more ads to people who are in Glasgow, and what I tend to find is that, first of all, they can really relate to me because I live in Glasgow. They understand that, and it's a lot more relatable. But the other thing is that when they reach out, it's so much easier to go and actually meet them in person. Like, if they're the type of lead that needs that sort of interaction to overcome the objectives, to feel that like personal feel, if you will, to actually join something, then it's so valuable. And also, with so many people in Glasgow plus 50 miles now who have now joined my email list, who DM me questions, who I've had some Skype calls with, who I've maybe had some meetings with, but aren't on the program yet, in that case, when I have my annual workshop, which sold out last time, and that was with mostly a traveling crowd, not much of an email list, because I just kicked off this sort of personal brand stuff after 5 or 6 years of doing client work. Next year, I'm going to have an email list full of people who live within 50 miles of the workshop. And so I can have many more people in the room, so many people who can relate to me, who can drive there. It makes it so much easier to sell out. I'll probably have to spend less on advertising the event itself, so the event will be profitable well before the actual event takes place. And it'll make it so much easier to build that personal connection with everybody. And if I even have to go for a few coffees after the event to speak to people who were at the event, at least I'll have had that personal interaction with them, and now I'm within driving distance to actually go and see them. Also, my mentorship program is in Glasgow. So once every 2 months, we meet up for 2 days of heavy strategy building and implementation there in the room. And the results for the people in there have been absolutely sensational already, and we've had a good few sign up since the first meetup, and the next one is in October. But if you live within 50 miles, life gets a lot easier to join the mentorship program. So for me, I might be spending more money to get somebody onto my email list, well, much more than I could be if I just wanted to flood it with South American people who, as the data shows so far, haven't actually purchased any of my higher end programs. They've bought a lot of my video series, the videos from the last annual live event, which you can get on my website.
So they're buying those things, which, you know, you can get it for £47 per video, or £147 for the bundle, and that's 6 hours of training. So they're decent sales, but they're not huge sales. They're not the chunky ones that I get excited about. And it's not exciting because of the price point. It's exciting because I actually get to work with people when they're in the 16-week digital marketing program. Every single day in the 16-week digital marketing program, I'm in there answering questions. Every single Wednesday at 8 p.m., I'm live with you. We've all got our cameras on. We're speaking to each other every single Wednesday at 8 p.m. So I get that personal connection with everybody, to the point in which people just feel so comfortable with me, and we've all sort of become like a bunch of friends in there. And it makes it very easy for people then to transition onto the mentorship, where we then get to work even more in person with people. And when you're self-employed, a lot of people who listen to this I know are self-employed themselves. Not like a heartstrings thing here, but it is sort of like a lonely thing. And I don't know if it's something that is spoken about enough, really, when people are looking at, say, like quitting their jobs and everything. I actually think it's a great thing when people quit their jobs and start their passion business. But it's something to think about, that, like, to think, oh, well, I've got all this freedom now. There's actually a whole bunch of things, like you need to hold yourself accountable to times. You need to hold yourself accountable to deadlines. You need to push the needle at all times and move forward. Like, when you're self-employed, you have to do all these things. It's not really a question whether you do or you don't, or you'll be back in employment pretty quickly. So I have just done the exact same thing as I usually do, which is I go off on a tangent and then I completely forget what I'm even talking about. The point is the point is local targeting, even if you're selling digital products, is absolutely glorious. And now I just remembered. So I was talking about how the program allows me to, if I'm getting leads and they're local, I can then transition that warm audience who haven't converted yet into seminars and upsell them at the seminar. Likewise, if it's the mentorship program that somebody's interested in, it's a much easier sell if they don't need flights and hotels every single time they come to the mentorship. If the only costs associated to them joining the mentorship is the mentorship itself, then it becomes an even bigger bargain for everybody that joins it. So, digital products, first and foremost, you need to work out what is your cost per lead, but then what is the cost per acquisition to actually get them to buy. So if you're going to run adverts all over the world, you need to look at all these different areas within the world and say, which areas are actually getting me an ROI? Because some areas out there are a lot cheaper to get an email address from, but it's not so easy to convert them. The second thing is, why would we use local targeting for a product that we can sell worldwide? All we're doing with that is actually increasing the cost per acquisition. So the cost per acquisition to get them on the email list, the cost per acquisition to actually get them to purchase, because when we give Facebook a smaller audience, it costs more to get in front of them. But there's a caveat to that. The reason that we use local targeting for digital products, and we use it quite importantly, is because of the opportunities that it arises for you to meet with these people personally, either one-to-one or in a group scenario, seminar, whatever it may be, so that you can sell in mass. It makes selling so much easier, especially if, as I've said before, if you're a coach, consultant, or an expert in that sort of field, if you're literally teaching people something, then they want to know if they want to work with you, because there's a million different places that people can learn a million different things, but do they want to actually work with you? And that's why I just can't get excited about when people buy any of my video recordings, because I don't have any interaction with them. And the only thing I enjoy is actually having people come to me with their business. They tell me all about it. I love to like see the logistics of the business anyway, because I'm just obsessed with businesses anyway. But But then I get to look for opportunities, and it's like a game. It's like a board game or something. It's just like you're getting to look around and actually look for opportunities at all times. Like with one of the mentorship clients, and I'm loving these as well, is every other month. So every 2 months, we meet up for 2 days. It's absolutely huge. It's high impact. It's amazing. We have an amazing time. But then we also, every other month, get a one-to-one Skype call, and we chat through the business, get totally focused. And everybody's reactions to the calls this time were absolutely amazing. It was the first calls, and they were absolutely buzzing after it with all the ideas and the strategies that we came up with specific for their business. But one of them, we were looking at how can they increase sales within their online platform, and the idea that we've come up with is to sort of create a membership for the business. So it's almost like an Amazon Prime for this business. And what it does is, at checkout, somebody can spend like an extra like £2 or £3 to upgrade for free shipping for the entire year. Now, does that seem like a good deal to the business if somebody is going to buy frequently? Well, yeah, it actually is. Because even though they'll lose that little bit of margin on the actual delivery, if people are buying more than twice a month, what they also get in return is that behavior psychology thing that Amazon Prime has, which is, well, it's only going to cost me an extra couple of pounds, and I get free next day delivery. This is fantastic. But then as soon as you have it, you feel like you're only getting your money's worth if you spend more money and you place more orders. So like ASOS nail it, Amazon nail it, loads of different brands have it now. But the brands that we're meeting face to face all the time, not many of them are thinking about this type of thing. But it is so viable, especially if you're using something like Shopify and probably WordPress plugins that are available. With that opportunity, you can take like a whole bunch of people. If you've got an engaged audience of buyers and you already have people paying $4.99, $5.99, $6.99 for their delivery, to be able to at checkout offer them to spend an extra £2 or £3 to upgrade to premium or to your membership portal, and there they get discounts, they get first access to products, they get they get free delivery every single time that they order, and then it becomes a rolling monthly income. Then you're not only getting that, say, $120 a month for what is a membership online, which is a digital product I might bring into the conversation, but also you have just had somebody pay you to then have the urgency within themselves to get their money's worth by spending more money with you. So it can increase the average order value, it can increase the frequency of spend, but also you've just put somebody onto a monthly recurring payment. Now, I have once again just gone off on a massive tangent, but location targeting for digital products is dynamite. It's really useful, especially if you want to be in business for longer than this very first launch that you're thinking about doing. If you want to be in business in 2 or 3 years' time, then having the opportunity to put on seminars and use that in itself for positioning, for getting video content, for getting images, for meeting people, for selling in mass, for getting people in the room, for increasing that profile. It's a huge opportunity to put on your own seminars, but it's not that easy to fill a room if your audience is in South America and you live in Glasgow. So that is why location targeting for digital products is so important. Now, this has been the Shoney Show episode 11 or 12. I can't quite remember. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you want to share that you're listening to this in your Instagram stories, that would be absolutely glorious. And I'll share your post into my own stories. Get you a couple of followers. And yeah. Please subscribe, share with a friend, like, comment, all that stuff, depending on what platform you're on. And and one thing that I would actually like, and it would be absolutely amazing if you did this, is get in touch with me and let me know what it is that you want covered on the next episode of The Shoney Show. At the minute, the way that I do it is whenever somebody is asking me questions frequently, any questions that come up like more than once. So if I notice that there's a bit of a pattern, then I will create an episode around that. But if you've got a question in itself or something that you're struggling with, then hit me up on @Neil Shoney Mac on Instagram. And that'll be the next episode of The Shoney Show. Much love. Have a great day, morning, evening, weekend, and I'll see you next time.